Let's solve the next following quiz. Quiz Formby. So in this problem number 1, what are they giving us? They're giving us a multiplication. So when solving this type of problem, we're going to have to recall our rule for multiplying negative numbers or positive numbers. So here we're going to be grouping this -3 and a -3. These two together are going to give us a positive 9. And the same technique here. This and this are going to give you a positive 9. Well, multiplying 9 times 9 is going to give you 81. So that will be for the problem number 1. Let's go on to the next following problem. In problem number 2, we're given to combine these terms. But whenever we're doing this, let's keep in mind that to clear the parentheses, we have this -1 in here. There's like a phantom 1 in here. So this -1 is going to be distributed. It's going to be multiplying the -30. Therefore, what I'm going to get is this the -25. I will keep the same one here. But -1 times -30 is going to give you a positive 30. And keep the same -15. Here, let's combine like terms one by one. So maybe I'm going to just do this -25 and this positive 30. So -25 plus 30 is going to give you 5. 5 minus 15. So whenever we're doing this, it's a positive 5 and a -15. So we're going to get -10 as the final answer. In problem number 3, we're having, once again, similar to problem number 2, we're going to clear the parentheses first. To clear these parentheses, what I need to do is this -1 here, like a phantom 1, is going to be multiplying the -3. And the same idea here, this -1, this negative sign, going to multiply the -11. So to do that, we're going to have 8. We keep our same number here. We're going to have 8. And -1 and -3 is going to be positive 3. And the same technique here. -1 and -11 should be positive 11. And I have a positive 5 here. Now combining like terms, we can do 8 and 3 is going to become 11, right? These two is going to give you 11. Plus another 11 here. And plus 5. 11 plus 11 is going to give you 22. Plus 5 is going to give you 27 as the final answer. So remember here, you need to clear the parentheses. There's like a -1 in there. So -1 times -3 is going to give you the positive 3 here. And the same technique here. -1 and -11 should give you positive 11. And from here, you just combine like terms. Okay, let's move on to the next following problem. Okay, in problem number 4, we're given once again to combine like terms, but we need to clear the parentheses. So in order for us to clear the parentheses, let's recall that there is a 1 there. So if there is a 1 in here, in front here, it should be a 1. So 1 times -12 is going to give you a -12. Same technique here. There's like a positive 1 here and a positive 1. But you're multiplying, because if there is no sign between them, it's like a multiplication here. Recall that the parentheses also implies a multiplication statement. So here we're going to have to multiply these two, and these two, just to clear the parentheses. Okay? So we're going to get 4. Positive 1 and -12 is going to be -12. Positive 1 and -50 is going to give you a -50. Same technique here. 1 and -18 should give you a -18. Now let's combine like terms. You can either do it from left to right. You could have combined all the negative and then do the positive, however you like. But here I would prefer just to go from left to right. So a 4 and a -12 is going to give me a -8. Right? Yes. -50 and -18. Alright, so -8 and -50 is going to be -58 minus 18. Well, negative and negative, my depth increases. So I pretty much have to do some addition here. So either you use your calculator or add them up. 8 plus 8 is going to be 8, 16. 1 plus 5, 6 plus 1 is going to be 7. So therefore, your final answer should be -76. With problem number 5, we have some fractions here. We have to combine the fractions again. But recall you have a parenthesis there, which you need to clear the parentheses first. So there's like a 1 in here. So you're multiplying 1 times negative 37 is going to be just negative 37. So I will stick with my 2/5 here, minus 3/7. But for us to combine like terms here, to combine these two fractions, they need to have the same denominator. So you either find a LCD for this one, or you can just do it mentally, or you do the long procedure. I will just show you how to find the LCD. So recall that 5 and 7 are prime numbers. So your LCD should be just 5 times 7. So 5 times 7 is gonna be 35. Okay, so means that I need to make this at 35 and I need to make this 7 at 35. So for us to do that, we're gonna have to multiply this 5 by 7, because 5 times 7 is 35. So I'm gonna multiply here by 7 here, and therefore I should multiply here by 5 top and bottom, because what I do in the denominator I must do the same in the numerator to keep our same fraction. Alright, so 2 times 7 is going to be 14, so we will get, finally we'll have a 14 over 35, and here we'll have a negative 15 over 35. So I'm running out of space here, so I'm just going to do this on the side. 14 and negative 15 will become negative 1, right, over 35. You keep your same denominator, and obviously here we cannot simplify any further, so your final answer should be negative 1 over 35. Let's move on to problem number 6. Problem number 6, 1/6 plus negative 5/12. As previously we done this in problem number 5, we need to clear the fractions here. I mean the parentheses. So to clear the parentheses here, there's a 1 here. 1 times negative 5/12 is going to give you just negative 5/12. So I'm going to rewrite this as 1/6 minus 5 over 12. Now I need to find the same denominator, so I'm going to find my LCD. So I will put the 6 and the 12 here. Some of you could do it mentally. You will say, oh, then my LCD is 12, so you can just procedure and do that. Otherwise, you can do the long way. 6 is going to be 3 times 2, and it's done as prime factorization. For the 12, I'm going to have a 4 times 3, and this 4 is going to be a 2 times 2, and carry down that 3. Therefore, my LCD is going to be, well, pick out the longest list as we did in Math E. So pick all of this. So you will have a 2 times 2 times 3. So here I'm going to make sure that these items here are included. So I have a 3 and I have a 2. Therefore, I already have all of this. Therefore, my LCD should be 2 times 2 times 3, which was the 12. So I have to make each of them a 12. This is already a 12, so you don't do anything. However, this 6, I need to multiply this by 2 top and bottom. So I will obtain 2 over 12 minus 5 over 12. Okay, once I do that, 2 minus 5 is going to be negative 3/12. I can reduce this, so you have to reduce here. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 12 4 times. So your final answer should be negative 1/4. Problem number 7. We have a negative 1/4 minus 1/4, or negative 1/4 and another negative 1/4. So how are we going to do this? Well, gladly, they have the same denominator. Here there's a 4 and here's another 4, so the denominator for both of them are the same. So let's just combine the top part, which is going to combine this negative 1 and this negative 1 here. So negative 1 and negative 1 becomes negative 2 over 4. Now we can do some reduction here. So 2 goes into here once, 2 goes into here twice. So my final answer should be negative 1/2. Okay, move on with problem number 8. In problem number 8, there is a negative 3/4 and negative minus negative 1/2. So what are we going to do here? Recall that here is a 1 in here. Again, there's like a phantom 1 in here to clear the parentheses. So negative 1 times negative 1 half, what are we going to get here? Let's see, negative times negative is going to be plus 1/2. So you need to find the same denominator for both of you. So you do 4 is 2 times 2. Some of you can just skip this step. I know some of you can do it just in your head. Let's do just a long procedure. So all of this is 2 times 2, and there is a 2 here which is already included, so therefore my LCD is 4. The least common denominator for 4 and 2 is 4, but this is already a 4, but this is not a 4, so you gotta multiply times 2 top and bottom. Once you do that, you have a negative 3/4 plus 2 over 4. Combining these two together, you're going to have, let's put it here, equal to negative 3 plus 2 is going to be negative 1, and keep the same denominator, is going to be negative 1/4. Okay, in problem number 9, we have negative 4/7 divided by 8 over 21. So whenever we're doing this division, I have to change this division symbol into a multiplication statement. I gotta make this a dot. But how are we going to do that? You keep the first fraction, and this one we were supposed to flip this over, so it's going to be 21 over 8. And from here you apply to you do your reduction. Before you multiply 4 times 21 and 7 by 8, you must reduce first. Remember to reduce. So 4 goes into here once, 4 goes into here twice. Let's do these two together. 7 goes into 7 once, 7 goes into 21 3 times. So you're left with negative 1 here. Negative 1 times 3 is going to be negative 3 over 1 times 2 should be positive 2, or just 2. So your final answer is negative 3/2. The problem here, problem number 10, we're going to have negative 1/3 divided by 2. But wait a minute, how are we going to do this? Recall that these 2 can be a whole number if you put over 1 here. So you're going to have negative 1/3. Changing this division symbol into a multiplication statement, you should get 1/2, right? You use the reciprocal here. So there's nothing to reduce here, so you just apply to multiply. Negative 1 times 1 is going to be negative 1. 3 times 2 should be 6. So your final answer is negative 1/6. 11, we have 0 divided by negative 2. Well, 0 divided by negative 2 is actually 0. So that's your final answer. Be careful though. Be aware that whenever you divide by 0, if I were to have any number divided by 0, this will be undefined. But this is not the case. The case is 0 divided by a number, like here I'm going to show you 0 divided by any number is just going to be 0. Okay? Be careful with that. We cannot divide by 0. If you divide by 0, then it should be undefined. But if you have 0 divided by negative 2, then that's just going to be 0. Okay? Be careful with that one. Number 12. In problem number 12, we have 1/6 times negative 3/7 times negative 14. About the sign, whenever you multiply, just hold on for a minute. Let's just worry about the numbers. So let's see if they have something in common. 6 and 3, I believe they have something in common. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 3 once. Same technique. I think the 7 and the 14 have something in common. So 7 goes into here once. 7 goes into here twice. Is there something else I can reduce? Oh yes, look, there is a 2 here and there's another 2 here, so they can just go away. All right, or you can say I'm left with a 1 here. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 2 once. So I'm gonna circle with red what are left over. I'm left here with a 1, with another 1, and then with another 1, and here 1, 1, and 25. So overall, I have 1 times 1 times 1 on top, which is going to give me 1 over 1 times 1 times 25 should be 25. What about the signs? So there's a positive number here. Positive times a negative becomes negative times a negative is going to be positive. So my answer should be positive. Okay, once again, so you have the first number was a positive times the other one was a negative, and the other was another negative. Positive and negative becomes negative times this last negative here, negative and negative becomes a positive answer. That's why my answer was a positive 1/25.